Our expert today has totally got you covered. We are thrilled to welcome distinguished Toastmaster Lee Buckley. She is a lecturer at Torrens University, Australia, with over a decade of experience in the tertiary education sector. She teaches both undergraduate and postgraduate courses in business information systems and global project management. A dedicated Toastmaster since 2016, Lee has held various club and district roles across multiple districts. She's been instrumental in chartering and growing clubs, earning multiple merit awards for her contributions, and is currently serving as the Club Growth Director for District 70 in Australia. Today, she'll be sharing her expertise on how to deliver impactful evaluations, whether it's a pathways project, a contest, or even a table topics. Now, without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to distinguished Toastmaster Lee Buckley. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the evening, Malavika. And hello to everyone, whether it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, as well as our distinguished dignitaries, including District Director Robert Ram, 𝗘𝗃𝗍𝗄𝘆, as well as past dignitaries and leaders from everywhere around the world. I'm so excited to be able to share this workshop with everyone. Again, being workshop, I don't want to just lecture. I want us to participate because we're here to learn from each other. What I'm going to share with you today is nothing new, but I'm hoping to open your eyes in terms of what you can do to elevate your evaluation. Let me share my slides to begin with. The session today would include an overview. We're going to look at the different types of evaluation, and guess what? It's good when we practice, right? Practice makes perfect. Let us begin. Don't you like it when you go to a performance, for example, and you enjoy the experience, take in the atmosphere? When we go to a Toastmasters meeting, it's similar to going to a performance. You have the conductor, who is the Toastmaster of the evening, and you have different segments in the meeting. And do you know what the typical segments are? And everyone, please feel free, type in the chat. You can unmute your microphone. What are the typical segments that you can see or experience in a Toastmasters meeting? Let me give you, yes, thank you, Kajan. Pie. Sorry, it's not nasi lemak, but pie to start with. PIE. Prepared speeches or project speeches, impromptu speaking, which is table topics. Then you have evaluations, and sometimes you have special segments as well. And so why is evaluation important in Toastmasters? Why is evaluation important? To quote our TME, Ken Blanchard quoted this a long time ago. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. Because without feedback, you cannot see the possibilities. You cannot see the flaws in your work. And therefore, feedback is the nutrients for growth. And for us, as well as quoted by our international president, Radi, it's a vital tool for personal and professional growth. Right? Sharpen our active listening skills, nurture our ability to give constructive feedback, boost our confidence, and foster continuous development as well. Maybe we'll take a minute or two for us to share your experience. I might start with Waisum. Waisum? Hi, Waisum. Would you like to share with us your experience so far in terms of evaluation? The good, the bad, the ugly?
Well, I would say that in order to evaluate a person's speech, we need to be mindful as well, because all in all, it should be constructive feedback. And of course, like what is displayed on the slide itself, well, if we are able to be an active listener, I'm sure that we will be able to give a good feedback that will be beneficial to the presenter himself or herself. And for me, my personal experience, I would say that over the periods of time I've been joining Toastmasters, I've been given good evaluations that help me to continue to improve in my speech journey, because there is always room for improvement.
That's right. Thank you,
Thank
𝗬𝗲𝘅.
you.
Indeed, right? How would you feel if you go to either a meeting or presentation and they say to you, an example, Lee, that was terrible. Yeah. The first time I spoke, I was speaking in front of so many people. Of course, my hands will shake, the sweat will come down. And I started by saying, good. And guess what my colleague said to me? Lee, I think you better go to Toastmasters. I say, you're right. Let's go. I want to learn how to make toast. No, I'm just kidding. I want to learn to speak better. And that's how I've heard of Toastmasters. And it took me 12 years to take that step to join Toastmasters because I was afraid. I I tried to go to a meeting and I saw how good everyone was. And then I thought, no, I chickened out. But then I'm here, right? And what do we evaluate? If you think about your evaluation experiences, what have you evaluated so far? Maybe prepared speeches? Yes, ET Toastmasters took you 10 years. Maybe table topics, right? If you think about it, there are different things that we evaluate. We have prepared speeches. In the past, it was the 𝗕𝗃 manual, which is a competent communicator manual, or the advanced manuals. These days is pathways project manuals. You have context speeches. Sometimes when you have speakers and they need to prepare for their contest, they go clubbing, they speak. And the type of evaluation of feedback that you give to them is different compared to just a general speech. We have impromptu speeches, which are the table topics, and also sometimes you get appointed as general evaluator. So there are different types of evaluation. What we're going to look at today are the prepared speeches as well as the impromptu speeches. And I want you to look at what I'm going to share with you, and then how how you would apply that to your evaluations from now onwards. Let's have a look at prepared speeches. I just picked one project. This is a Pathways project, level 4, manage projects successfully. What do we get normally? Oh, thank you, E.T. We get evaluation forms, right? How many of you look at the evaluation forms and look at what you need to evaluate? Yeah, thank you, Dr. Saras. Thank you, Johanna. That's great. We look at the project purpose statements. We look at what we need to do. We look at the different segments, what the speaker excel at, what could be potential areas for growth. We evaluate, we gave them a numerical value. But how often do you look at the path that the speaker is doing? I've heard many people say, well, what's the difference if I do presentation mastery or team collaboration or dynamic leadership? It's all the same. I challenge you to think further in terms of look at the competencies of the projects. Every single project has a list of competencies. For example, for manage projects successfully, you need to recognize the strengths and areas for growth as project manager, develop rapport with stakeholders, cultivate relationship, meeting deadlines. These are all the competencies that a project manager should have. But then you might ask, okay, how do I give evaluation then? What I normally do is I look at the path that they have selected. If they are, for example, dynamic leadership, then I will look at how, as a project manager, when the speaker undertakes that project and then delivers the speech, how has the speaker demonstrated competencies that he or she has achieved in relation to that path? Because next time, when they undertake another path, it could be the same project, but it's different path. It could be presentation mastery. Yeah. It could be team collaboration if you were finishing off your legacy pathways. It could be motivational strategies. So how we can add value is to look at the path that the speaker is undertaking and look at the competencies in addition to the usual structure and gestures and nonverbal communication, right? Add value in terms of evaluate them. Have they achieved the competencies in the path that they have selected? There's another project, level 1, which is the evaluation and feedback. And this is where the speaker has to give a speech, receive feedback, give the second speech, and then you have to evaluate the speaker as well. And someone has to evaluate the evaluator. And this is where you can also look at the competencies. What is it that the speaker has to achieve besides speaking, besides showing that they apply what they have learned or received from the first evaluator? They also need to demonstrate that they can deliver tactful and constructive feedback. And again, link that to the path that the speaker is undertaking. Has any one of you done that? If you want to share with everyone in the workshop, have you been evaluating using this method? Maybe I'll ask another person. Dr. Saras. Hi, Dr. Saras. You're on
Hi,
mute.
yeah, sorry.
Hi,
Yes,
that's
good
okay.
evening.
Hi.
Yes, yes, Lee Buckley. I do this method. Firstly, I will look at the evaluation form. I will read through the purpose statement of the evaluation, and also I will read through everything. After that, I will look at the respective pathway that they are taking. So, like for example, if it is an engaging humor, so I know the entire pathway is about you have to insert humor. So when I'm listening to the speaker, I will make sure that they have inserted humor in their speech. And if they didn't, that means they didn't fulfill the pathway, what purpose, but maybe they would have fulfilled the purpose of the statement for that particular speech. So then for room for improvement, I will touch on these two, and I will tell them that they also have to look into the pathway purpose. In this way, it makes my evaluation to be a very comprehensive one.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Saras.
Thank you.
Indeed. So compare that to another evaluator who's providing feedback or evaluation on the structure and the delivery. Okay, versus, let's say, for example, Dr. Saras's evaluation, which looked at the purpose statement, which looked at the competencies, and which looked at the path as well. In a contest, especially, I always say you have to find that golden nuggets. What sets you apart from other evaluators? If other evaluators are talking about the structure, the delivery, what are you going to say that will stand out? That will make the judges think, oh, yes, you did take note of this. You did not, that's something special or something different that the speaker did. So in terms of projects, the content, thank you, Gary, indeed. And so when you look at the content and you look at how they have achieved something, for example, it's also how you deliver that, right? And that's why we have language evaluators as well to help you. Yes, thank you, Zhenxiang. Like Cyber Stars, you often look at the storytelling elements. That's right. At the storytelling elements, have they added suspense? Have they delivered the punchline, for example? This another type of evaluation is contest. You may have speakers come to your club or even your club members preparing for contests. And so when you look at the evaluation that you have to give them constructive feedback, evaluation that will help them to meet the criteria on the judges' ballot votes. Instead of just saying, oh, it's the structure, it's the delivery. Look at what component of the ballot that they excel in and that they can work on. Speech development. Did they develop their speech? Did it have an introduction, body, conclusion? Did it segue well? Did it transition well between them? Was the speech of value? Did it engage the audience? How well did they use their physical versus their voice, and so forth? So when you give your feedback, look at the ballot paper, look at the elements where they will get marks, so that it will help them to improve as well. The general evaluation, sometimes you might have a speaker that says, I'm not doing any project, I'm just, giving a speech. And so here, the general rule is you evaluate on what you saw, what you heard, and how you felt. And that would cover the content and the delivery as well. And for me, I think being a lecturer, for me, to give high distinction, it has to be creme de la creme, top of the crop. And so sometimes I had people saying to me, Lee, why are you so stingy with your marks? But I said, look, if I say you are high distinction, I am saying to your potential employer that you are really good, whether it's you know your materials, or you're hardworking, you're dedicated. I'm saying to them, you're the top. And if you go out there with a piece of paper that says you've got the bachelor degree or the master's degree and you can't perform, how does that make me feel? Right? And remember, I've had even myself, actually, when I went to employers, sometimes, they ask me, what is it? Why should we employ you? What's so different about you? Right? So when you give your evaluation, evaluate on what you saw, what you heard, how you felt. Because people have different ways. Some are kinesthetic, some are audio, some are visual as well. When it comes to table topics, quite often you get asked questions. And sometimes you know them, sometimes you don't. Right? For example, is nasi lemak better than roti canai? Some people might go, yes, I know the answer to that. But for you to be effective, you can go back to evaluating them. Kajan, indeed, right? You need to look at what you saw, what you heard, how you felt. But instead of giving a comprehensive evaluation, table topics is only 1 to 2 minutes. And therefore, your evaluation should be about 1 minute per speaker. Give one commendation, one recommendation. If you give too many, it will the speaker will not be able to absorb it and appreciate what you say to them. Now remember, one commendation, one recommendation. And so the other thing too that you need to think of is, this is important. It doesn't matter what speech you evaluate. Every speech should have a general and a specific purpose. You need to be able to identify what's the general purpose. Is it to inspire, to motivate, to inform, to persuade, to entertain? If you are able to identify that, it sets you apart as well from other evaluators. I've quite often, when I was training my new club members, I asked them, do you know what the speech is about? What is the purpose of the speech? Sometimes they go, oh, I don't know, but it's very nice speech. I say, yes, but why did the speaker present that speech? What did they have in mind when they give you that speech? Because once you have identified the general purpose, you should also identify the specific purpose. What's in it for me, for the audience? What do you want the audience to do? Have a call to action so that they would leave after listening to your speech feeling, wow, that was fantastic. And I need to take action. I need to do this. Sometimes when you inspire someone, they may not take immediate action, but you've planted that seed in their head as well. So every evaluation, think about the general purpose and the specific purpose. Okay, any questions so far? I believe in practice, okay, and we're going to spend a bit more time on practicing. We have a test speaker with us today. We are privileged to have Michael Loh as our test speaker. Michael will be presenting from the Manage Projects Successfully project, which is a level 4 project in the path team collaboration. This is his second speech for Manage Projects Successfully. We have included the evaluation form in the chat for everyone. If you could please download the evaluation form as you listen to Michael's speech. See if you can identify the general purpose, the specific purpose, and then also look at the competencies. Now, what are the competencies of the project? Has he achieved these competencies? And then afterwards, we'll have 5 minutes for you to prepare your evaluation, and we're going to ask for some volunteers to present your evaluation, and we will have evaluators to evaluate your evaluation as well. Are you ready, everyone? Excellent. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Michael Low, 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝘃𝗁𝗍. 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗃𝗁𝗍, Michael Low.
Right, a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you've heard the word 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗃𝗁𝗍, and I'm very sure that all of you would have guessed what this portmanteau word means, right? So it is from two words, charter and anniversary. Coming together, 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗃𝗁𝗍, because this was the 10th anniversary of Infineon Molecular Toastmaster Club since its chartering 10 years ago in 2015. So this time, since it's our 10th anniversary, going to double digits now, we decided we're going to have a very grand celebration. We're going to make it really big. We're going to invite more people. And how did it go? I was asked to be the organizing chair. Why? Because there were very few people in the meeting when we were selecting organizing chairs, and I happened to be one of them. But when I took that opportunity and I decided to be the organizing chair, I really wanted to make it good. And how did it go? Well, we had speech, table topics, we had really good food. We had the charter founders coming. We had the charter advisors, mentors who followed the group when it first chartered. We had VIPs like DTM Dr. Song and DTM Robert Ram coming all the way. We really appreciated that. And for me, the key was we stayed in budget, right? And when our managing director and HR director came, they stayed all the way throughout the event. Because I remember last year, they left halfway. But this year, I was really happy to see them stay on, listening to the speeches, joining in, talking with everybody all the way until the end, and then also spending some time taking photos and speaking with our visitors. Now, what are some of the lessons that I've learned and what I think went very well? So, 3 things. I took the advice from Sir Isaac Newton to stand on the shoulders of giants. When I started the event to organize it, I was thinking there's so many things to do. So the first thing was to listen to who was the organizing chair last year. Now, if you have met Alex, you won't call him a giant because the nickname he gave for himself is 𝗘𝗃𝗲𝗃𝗁𝗍, a very potent bird's eye chili. But Alex is a giant in organizing, and I learned a lot from him. Number 2, I took the advice of Captain America. He said, Avengers, assemble. But of course, there are no Avengers, but I have a very dedicated group of Toastmasters to help me. And in this, I think I did well because I had dedicated groups who did the decorations, who did the video. I met with them to organize what are the questions, the theme, and gave them the budget, and they went along with it. So they did very well. Certain parts of the team, I think I could have done better. There were food which I took too much upon myself, going to order, making sure that the food was delivered, the drinks are delivered, and such. And another was the VIPs, the visitors. So not a dedicated group was there to visit, to make sure that the VIPs, like our managing director and the HR head of department, was escorted to come. So these are the things I think good, yeah, assembling the team. And number 3, taking the advice of Steve Jobs, trust that the dots will connect to your future. So once you have done your planning, once you have already organized your team, you have to give that trust and go on with the whole plan. And of course, there are some changes in between, yeah, but you have to roll with it. So I think this was done well. Of course, once you have completed, when you look back, in hindsight, they always say the hindsight is 2020. There could be things that were better done. For example, I could have organized the team better so that more people organized the food, took care of the food, the VIPs and such. Number 2, I could have taken smaller steps because in all, I had over 2 months to organize the event. However, I took the first 1 month, a better part of it, to have discussions and such. If we had done certain things earlier, like for example, doing the presentation slides earlier, then I think we'll have more time later on. And number 3 was communication, because I use a lot of email. I use a lot of WebEx spaces to communicate, even to our VIPs, the managing director and the HR manager. I went through their secretaries. However, on that day, both secretaries were not well. They were sick. And our managing directors received the email, the HR as well, but I did not send an invitation for lunch by calendar invitation. So it didn't pop up. So they did not remember. So some of these things I could definitely have done better. And as part of the semiconductor or in our factory, what we do is we do a lessons learned. I've compiled all this into an Excel, and I want to be that giant that the next organizing chair could stand upon to make the 11th Charterversary a better success. And I'm glad that I took part of this in organizing this event, because even though I was a bit busy, tied up with work, but I have learned a lot. Yeah, I get to meet with many people, and when you work with them, you actually grow closer with them. And I'm also very glad that I had the chance to walk with our managing director. As I mentioned, they did not get the invitation. I had to walk over to the office, but walking with him, it was the first time that I could really interact with him. So that was also a good opportunity. And I'm glad that I took up the opportunity and also the responsibility to run this event. And definitely, I forward this message to future organizing chairs. When an opportunity is given to you, take it and run with it. And definitely you can stand on the shoulder of giants. You can assemble your team, and you can make sure that the dots will be connected. Trust in the process. Thank you, and back to you, DTM Buckley.
Thank you, Michael, for your speech. We're going to allow you 5 minutes to prepare your evaluation, everyone. I'm going to put this up on the screen during the 5 minutes. As a reminder, have a look at the path that Michael is undertaking, team collaboration. Look at the project, look at the competencies as you compile your evaluation. Timer, if you could please time 5 minutes, and maybe you can have some nice soft background music while we compile our evaluation.
Sure, I can sing if you guys want to.
Oh yes, please. Thank you.
Nah, it's okay. I can share some music. Give me a minute. Let me get the song on. Yeah, but if I share my sound, you won't be able to share screen. So that's why it's fine. It's okay. Maybe you can share from your end.
I was going to say, let me find some musica. Musica.
Musica.
Do you want to check your messages? I sent you some message.
To who, yeah? Me or this?
No, speaker.
Oh, okay. All right.
Recording in progress.
It's time.
Thank you, organizing chair. I will stop sharing the slides, and we have our first volunteer for the evaluation. Please put your hands together to welcome Johanna Tanujaya, who will be presenting her evaluation for Michael's speech. Over to you, Johanna. You have 2 to 3 minutes. If you look at the timer, it's similar to a speech evaluation. Green on 2, yellow 2.5, and red is 3 minutes. Over to you, Johanna.
Fabulous evening, everyone. Michael, you did indeed very well in terms of, firstly, getting a very catchy title of Charter Bursary. Secondly, in terms of your competencies, you do explore, build rapport with the projects, with the stakeholders. You did manage about telling about your time and how you develop your team. And based on the, your three Isaac Newton, 3 lessons, Captain America and Steve Jobs, you basically deliver a speech, a story regarding how you start and stop your project. However, I would like you to deepen on your storytelling in terms of what is it exactly, for example, that the journey you can share a real-time leadership under the pressure. You did mention about the food and your VIP. You did mention about that is one thing that you want to work on. Just select one incident on exactly what has happened in terms of relating to the budget or the time in delivery. Secondly, another things that you can work on is on your emotional stake. How actually can happen to bring, in terms of project, definitely it doesn't run smoothly, and the timely matters. So you just take one incident. Again, you can go back to the food and the VIP on how actually it works. For example, I have ordered about 100 lots, and that's the budget that I can have. However, the people attending, it's overwhelmed. There are so many, for example, increased to 150. How could I budget for another extra 50 food to be enough? And especially for the VIP, I have informed them, you mentioned about your communication through the email. How would you like actually to increase, to communicate verbally instead of just through email? So in summary of all, you did very well. A clap hand for you. You did telling, and your project actually very successful. You tie in all your time management, your response. You do have engaging the storyline as well. So one thing that you could move to a better speech is just focus on real-time story. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Johanna. To evaluate Johanna's evaluation, could we please put your hands together for DTM Ravindran, who will be presenting his evaluation again, 2 to 3 minutes. Over to you, DTM Ravindran.
Thank you very much, DTM Lee Buckley. Toastmaster Johanna Tajia, thank you very much for sharing a brilliant evaluation on the speaker's presentation this evening. Traditionally, we all start on a positive note, and you took that part. So that part is good. Then you went on to areas for improvement, and that took a good portion of your evaluation. Now, having said that it's a good evaluation, but how would I have done it better? If it were me, I will begin by first reading out what the objective was. We must always go back to what is the intention of the speech. As I understand, this is the second speech on managing your projects successfully. And the requirement is for the speaker to share his experience. The first was about planning, second about experience. I will mention this so that we get exactly to what is required. But to be fair, you did talk about competencies, which the speaker mentioned earlier on. So that is good. So it sort of balances off, but I would suggest mention the objective of this speech, more so in this particular case where it was not really spelled out earlier on. Now, you spend a good portion on page 1 of the evaluation sheet. Quite a number of us, for some reason, I don't know why, we tend to miss out page 2. Page 2 is a very important aspect because it goes into detail, a micro detail of at least 8 criteria: clarity, vocal variety, eye contact, gestures, audience awareness, comfort level, interest, and did the speaker learn out of this project? This must be covered because this is an integral part of the evaluation. Of course, all of this relates to the delivery aspect of the speech. It's not the content. If it's a content speech, then obviously you know where the weightage is. We go more for contents, delivery, and language. But this is a non-contest speech, so you must bring back page 2 into your overall evaluation. So to recap, it's a good evaluation, but wanting to build further on this, I'll always bring back and come back to the objectives of this particular project, then incorporate the requirements of page 2. Having you done that, it'll definitely add value to your evaluation. Thank you. Keep going, keep working at it, because we all start from somewhere. I've been there before. I'm also learning. Thank you. And back to you, to the speaker, Distinguished Toastmaster Lee Buckley.
Thank you, DTM Ravindran. Wow, what a powerful evaluation from both evaluators. I note that the workshop time is up, but we do have 15 minutes of questions later. Dr. Som, organizing chair, do we have any questions, or am I allowed to extend it for 5 more minutes before we move into question and answer? Yeah.
Yes, I think we have some question. Our question master will come back to you with that. We have given him 4 questions, but since there's no question in the chat, I think we'll proceed with those questions.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. I was going to have open evaluation, but we'll come back to this after. And thank you, everyone. What we would do is I'll finish the workshop so that you can have questions. And then after that, we're going to come to the open evaluation and a bit more feedback as well. Because the time is up, unfortunately, for the workshop. And I'd like to hand back, please, to the Toastmaster of the evening, Malavika.
Thank you so much, Distinguished Toastmaster Lee Buckley. That was an incredible session, and I'll be evaluating this Wednesday for one of my clubs. So I'll put to use all of these points that you've given today. And yeah, hopefully I can learn. Thank you so much for your session. And firstly, I would just request everyone to turn on their cameras so we can quickly have a picture. We have our multimedia master here who will be taking the picture. So please turn on your cameras. Aditya, could you check if everyone has their cameras on?
Yeah, everyone's got their cameras on, and yeah. Okay, so in 3, 2, 1. Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, another 3, 2, 1. Okay, and one freestyle. So 3, 2, 1. All right, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aditya. And of course, thank you, everyone. We'll now, again, I will be handing it back to Aditya because he's also our question master and he'll be taking over the Q&A session now.
All right, thank you so much, Toastmaster Malvika. So I'm Aditya and I'm going to be the question master for the day. And I welcome all of you to the question answer session. So since we do not have any questions right now on the chat box, I will be proceeding to the questions that we received on the registration form. The first question is, how do you think Toastmasters evaluation techniques can be adapted for classroom observations, and what parallels do you see between them? Do you want me to repeat it once again?
That's fine.
All right.
It's fine. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Question Master and Multimedia Master as well. I'll share with you my experience. Before I joined Toastmasters, I was one of these very boring lecturers. Have you ever been to class and within 10 seconds you're asleep? It happened to me once. 10 seconds. All I said was, "Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to," and then in class. I thought, oh my goodness. And that was a wake-up call for me. That was before I joined Toastmasters. After I joined Toastmasters, I applied the evaluation technique. I applied the feedback technique as to how I wrote my feedback and evaluation for their assessments, as well as when they have presentation components in their assessments. I use the commendation, recommendation, and big commendation at the end, the sandwich method as well. And this is what we can take, whether it's to your classroom or to your workplace. When you have interviews, when you talk to people, colleagues, your managers, use the technique, the sandwich technique, where you have commendation, recommendation, commendation, or praise, improvement, praise as well.
Right. Thank you so much. Honestly, I fell asleep in the class even today. So, all right. So we have someone raising the hand, Toastmaster 𝗘𝗃𝗃𝗁𝗂 𝗧𝗏. So if you could ask your question.
Oh, sorry, you're on mute.
Only can see your lip.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Sorry. Okay, let me be honest. I've seen how you did an evaluation, and I was still mesmerized. That was when I first joined Toastmaster last 3 years. So it is a great opportunity for me to learn from you. So my question: how would you do the evaluation just now?
Just now?
Yes. How would you do it? Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, 𝗘𝗃𝗃𝗃. Yes, I remember seeing you at one of the meetings. Has that been that long already?
Yeah, it's been that long.
Wow. How I would do it is, unfortunately, I am a project manager. So I will look at it in terms of manage projects successfully. And for me, because this is a project evaluation, how I can add value to the speaker is, has the speaker achieved the competencies? Because if you're giving a speech, most of the time you get evaluation based on content delivery. Content, they might say, yes, you have met the objective, yes, you have not met the objective, etc. But how I would do it is, first, I would identify what is the purpose of this speech. I might say, thank you, Michael. That was a very informative speech. And in addition to that, I have been inspired to manage my projects better. And so you don't have to say this is an informative speech. You can use language like, thank you, Michael, that was very informative. I have learned from you how I would better manage my projects and to deliver, etc., etc. So always identify general purpose of the speech. Second, what did the speaker want us to do? And I look for call to action. Did he include any call to action in his speech? Because he could talk to us about budgets and things that he has done. If I'm in the audience, my question will be, what can I learn from his experience? What can I do better in my next project? And so my evaluation would then include A, the general purpose, B, the specific purpose, and C, his competencies. What has he achieved in terms of meeting the competencies? Because from my point of view, if he hasn't done anything, if he hasn't learned anything, then he hasn't achieved the purpose of the project. See, and that, because sometimes they may have achieved it, but they haven't included that in the speech. And so hopefully my evaluation then will help them. You need to tell the audience what you have done, rather than just giving a general picture of it. Does that answer your question, 𝗘𝗃𝗃𝗃? Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I do have a question. My name is Valerie here.
Hi, Valerie.
Hi. I noticed that there are some Toastmasters, when they are giving speech evaluation, sometimes they will address to the entire audience, like telling the entire audience what the person has did, summarize what the person has did, what he did good, and vice versa. But I've also seen styles that address directly to the speaker, that says that, for example, Michael, you did a good job in this. So I feel that which speech evaluation style is actually more appropriate?
Good question, Valerie. This has been a question that has been asked around a lot. Let me share with you. In Australia, we usually use the third person because we want to be inclusive. For example, Michael, I'll use an example. Michael presented a very informative speech today. He shared with us how he has conducted his 10-year anniversary, and I love the title Charter Anniversary. Michael has indeed achieved, etc., etc. So if you notice, when I use third person, I always say Michael, he, etc. But if I use the first person, quite often it's not so much in an online environment, but in a physical environment. You will notice if I say Michael, I would tend to look at Michael. And every time I say Michael or you, I'll tend to look at Michael as well. And so if you think about inclusiveness, people in the audience might go, oh, are you giving this evaluation just for Michael? But the evaluation is for everyone to learn from, right? And we would therefore encourage the third person perspective. And again, it depends. I think when I first went clubbing around the world, different parts of the world also use the first person. But I tend to generally use the third person so that it's more inclusive. And also it helps, especially in physical settings. When you say Michael, you tend to look at the audience. But if you say you would then tend to look at the speaker.
Okay, that one I can understand that. But how about in a competition, speech evaluation competition? Which one should we use?
Good question. I think this is open to everyone. But again, it depends. If I'm the judge, I would tend to prefer the third person because you are not just addressing the speaker. You are addressing your evaluation for everyone's benefit as well.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a
Lucky
question
I'm not
for-
judging anyone. Sorry.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
And my question is with regards to the table topic evaluation, many times we tend to emulate the same thing as project evaluation.
Yes.
So is there any thoughts on that for you?
Yes, because when we emulate the project evaluation, remember the table topics is only 1 to 2 minutes. And therefore, your evaluation should be one praise, one sort of improvement or growth. Because such a short table topic, they are thinking on the feet, correct? When you give them 1 and 1, they will remember better, going, okay, this is what I have to do next time. And again, with table topics, we've got so many different structures: Oreo, prep, the pros, the cons, the 5 wives, 1 husband, micro, macro, etc. And so as you listen to them, what I try to tend to do is when I listen to table topics, I will try to identify what structure did they use. Is that the most effective structure for that particular table topic? Did they just ramble on, or did they think and have a structure when they speak? And therefore, I can give feedback, in terms of the structure and the delivery. Sometimes, let's say they have a lot of distractive, repetitive gestures, then I can give feedback on that. But quite often as well, if they are just thinking and they go, I don't know, then you can suggest, maybe think about prep or Oreo. Do you like the Oreo biscuit? And then they'll remember, oh yeah, I can use this next time. See?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think with table topics evaluation, it gets even harder when you're evaluating guests and also that was a very insightful discussion we had. I don't see any more raised hands, so I can proceed with the questions on the registration form. So if I don't understand what the speaker is sharing about, or sometimes it's just too technical or theoretical, how can I evaluate them?
Okay. That is a good question, because if you don't understand, how many other people didn't understand, right? And then you have to think, why didn't you understand? Was it because the speaker didn't speak clearly? Or was it because the content was too technical? Or the content was not organized well? And therefore, the first thing you need to think is, why didn't you understand? And then put that into your evaluation. Yeah. Because remember, it could be a number of different things. Was it the audio not working? Was it the content too technical? Did the speaker speak too fast? Did they not enunciate? Yeah, and then include that, right? And so what you need to do is when you structure your evaluation as well, the sandwich method works well because you have praise, improvement, and big praise at the end, right? And so try that technique next time. And also, if it's a project speech, look at the competencies. Did they achieve the competencies? And then you can weave that into your evaluation as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome.
Then the next, okay, so Toastmaster Kajan has raised his hand, so you can proceed with your question.
Hey, hi. Hello, yes, nice to see you. Okay, so my question is, right, following up on the technical aspect, right? Okay, for example, right, we are entering, let's just say we are going into a technical group Toastmasters club, okay, who are specialized in this technical, let's just say it's medical MUCN, right? And one of them was speaking something which is so highly like in terms of their medical procedures and something which is too technical on the medical side. And I, being an accounting graduate background, comes and evaluate the speech, right? Everyone else understood except me as an evaluator. So how do you evaluate then? That's my question.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Kajan. Again, the speech, it shouldn't be that only one part of the audience understood, right? Ideally, it will be understood by everyone. So again, it depends on the audience. If it's a, for example, medical conference and everyone there is from medical background and you didn't happen to, well, you happen to be there, but you didn't understood. If the purpose was a technical conference, then if you're the evaluator, I would say, I do apologize, I'm not from the medical background and therefore I cannot give you evaluation based on your content, but I can give you evaluation based on your delivery, for example. Okay, so you always give feedback based on something because yes, I've been to cases where the accountants spoke all these graphs and all that, and I'm looking at it going, okay, I don't know what EBIT is, I don't know what payables, etc. Same thing. I say, I'm sure that was a fantastic technical presentation. What I would like to give you some feedback is your delivery. Because I cannot comment on the content as I'm not the subject matter expert. An example.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saras. Hi, Dr. Saras.
Yeah, hi, DTM Buckley. I have one question. How do you tailor your evaluation to suit the speaker's experience level? Like, for example, beginner or advanced DTM or newbies, like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Personally, I don't tailor to different in terms of, you should not let a DTM give you that fear. Oh my goodness, the person is a DTM. How do I evaluate the person? Just like speech contest, you evaluate the speech based on that night, correct? Their performance at that time. Anyone has got bad days, good days, and you should just look at the speech, not the speaker. in terms of the DTM or newbies, etc. What I would tend to do is if they are new, then I'm not that harsh, as in you've got to have vocal variety, you've got to have this and that. Usually I would say, congratulations and thank you for your courage in stepping up and taking the stage. That takes a lot of courage. So you encourage them that way. What I would like to do is comment you on your structure and your delivery, and then you can work on perhaps try something. Don't tell them you got to do this, do that, do etc. They're new. All right, just give them one thing to start with, so that they can take that baby step, and and hopefully crawl and run later. For let's say a more seasoned speaker, if they have been around Toastmasters, they've heard about all these different structures and techniques, etc. I would look for areas where you can help them to tweak. And if you do this, perhaps it will lead to a different or a better result. And again, don't go for a lot of things, just the one will do. But don't let DTMs and contest winners and etc. scare you. Remember, they've been in our shoes once in their past, correct? They were all newbies. They were all like us. And so if you work on it, and give them just objective feedback based on what you see, what you heard, and how you felt, and just give them the feedback.
Thank you so much. I think that was really put beautifully, and even a comment section in the comments, evaluate the speech and not the speaker. There's no titles should
Yes.
intimidate the evaluator. So I think that was beautiful. Okay, we have Toastmaster Valerie raising a hand.
Yeah, but what if you were invited to go to a Toastmasters in another country and you can't understand a single word he says due to their own accent? How are you going to evaluate?
Sure. Okay. It happened to me before as well. When I went to a different country, I did not understand a word they said. And the first thing I thought, oh my goodness. And also the person was a DTM. And back then I wasn't a DTM. And so I thought to myself, okay, I can't really admit that I didn't really understand. I did say though, I do apologize. I know that because I know that people from around the world have different accents, right? And it's me that I didn't pick up the accent, but I'm not going to evaluate on the accent. So what I did was I looked at the speaker and the content of the speech. I didn't understand the content of the speech, but again, I could see how effective the delivery was. Yeah. And the first thing I did apologize was that, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. And there was one incident where I didn't apologize at all. But what I said was, thank you for your very informative speech. I could see how the audience was engaged and how they, learned from your speech. And then that was all I said. Then I went on to talk about the delivery.
Thank you
Because
very much.
you're welcome. It's very difficult because, when you couldn't understand, it's okay. You can apologize. To me, you can apologize to say, I'm sorry, I didn't understand you. It could be because they spoke too fast, right? It could be because they didn't enunciate. It could be because it was the local slang, right? And so talk to them as well. Or you can give a very general evaluation and then talk to the speaker after that.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, so I think we do have time for one last question. Anyone would like to raise hands and ask, or we can go back to the registration form questions.
Okay, we go to the registration form.
All right. Is evaluation done on empathy or constructed syllabus?
Empathy as in empathy towards the speaker, or
Yeah, for example, maybe what if it's an icebreaker speech? And
okay.
something like that, maybe.
Okay. I'm not sure how you feel, everyone, but to me, the hardest to evaluate is the icebreaker because they are so fresh, they're so young and new, right? And sometimes they could just go up and say, hello, everyone, or I don't know, and then they walk away. What do you do in those circumstances? And again, you want to motivate them, you want to praise them for what they did well, and for something they didn't do too well, just give one. I've heard evaluations for icebreakers where they say, "Oh, you should do this, and this," right? And I thought, this is only an icebreaker. It's the first time that they are speaking. They've got nerves. You can even joke about it. I did this once where I said, right, now that you've given your first speech, guess what? Just put up your hand, shake it out, and go, it's done. So they laughed about it, and then they felt a bit more relaxed. Then you give them the feedback. Right? Yes, but if you evaluate icebreakers for your second, third, fourth, etc., then it's different. But the very, very young, as in new speakers, just give them one key feedback for them to work on. And try and be positive to motivate them to try again, to keep going, because it's their first speech.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that was a very insightful session, and thanks everyone for participating and making this session even more engaging. I would now like to pass control back to the Toastmaster of the evening, Toastmaster 𝗲𝗲𝘃𝗁.